Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Aches, Pains, and Gains podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Thomas, over there. I got my other co-host,
Dan the Man, coming back.
Yeah, we're back again. Actually, technically, this episode isn't even late. We just haven't put one out for October yet, and this will be our October episode.
Hell yeah.
So, life got a little busy for you, which we'll get to in just a second. But today, folks, we're talking about RPE. WTF is RPE. In this episode, we're breaking down the rate of perceived exertion. We're going to talk about where it came from, how it was brought into lifting and powerlifting, and how it can be practically applied to your training. Whether you're a beginner lifter just trying to gauge effort or a seasoned lifter fine-tuning your training, this one's all about learning to lift smarter, not just heavier. Because there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, Danny, as they say.
We'll get into it.
We'll dive in deep. This will be a nerdy one, which, according to our analytics, tends to be well received, which is
surprisingly.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It is a lifting podcast, though, I suppose. But first, Danny, let's talk about some aches, pains, and gains. Let's break the ice a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
How's life? What you been up to? How's training?
Brother, from September to now, late August to now, has been a freaking blur. So to give you the jot notes real quick, late September, we were told, me and my wife Amanda were told, hey, our landlords are selling their house, so we got to move out. We're like, oh, okay, that's nice. Like a month's notice. Hell yeah.
Not ideal.
Not ideal. We had to be out by end of September. But in a way, it was almost a blessing because it kind of gave us a kick in the ass to like, okay, let's get out and start looking for a house to buy. And we went out a few times. Didn't find anything we were like. We were getting discouraged. So we're like, okay, let's talk to our parents and see if we can like stay with them in between, you know, because we're going to continue to look for houses and stuff. And I think it was like mid-September, we did find a house that we really liked. And to fast forward, we put an offer in on it, and we got it. So we were like, "Oh shit, hell yeah, this is sweet." And all of a sudden, you know, I was trying to like go through all the loops and hoops to get the financing and everything. Meanwhile, we're trying to unpack or load up our house that we're currently in and move out of the rental. And on top of it, I'm trying to peak for Westerns.
Just making it harder on yourself.
Oh my God, dude. I was so stressed.
You were cutting too, weren't you?
And I was cutting. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah, man. It was great. But yeah, you know, in the end, it all went good. I did okay at Westerns. I got third.
Mm-hmm.
Squatted 290, which is a squat PR. And it flew. Like it was really good. I think 295 would have been the top end there. Benched 165, missed 170, and deadlifted 285 classic, and then missed my third, another classic. We loaded up 295 to go for silver at the end and got to my, like, I don't know, fucking end of my shins.
Yeah.
But that was it.
Yeah, sometimes it's not there.
But I was like, you know, if I didn't fucking, I don't like making excuses for subpar performances. I don't think it was a subpar performance. I still totaled 740. It was still 5 kilo PR, total PR. So I was happy with that. But I like to think if I didn't buy a house and do all this other extra stuff,
yeah,
things would have went better. But you know,
stress has an impact, you know?
Oh God, yeah.
So, and there was a lot of it.
Yeah. I'll help you. I won't help you through it, but I can't wait for another person in our group to go through that
stuff.
Whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little ways away. Maybe next year we're going to start looking kind of thing. But yeah, nice, man.
Yeah.
Any other updates?
That's it.
Heck yeah, bro.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, aches, pains, and gains for me. I don't know. It's kind of been a little up and down here and there because I've been on this knee rehab kick since your bachelor party in January, since I hurt my knee.
Dude.
And if you're just joining us, folks, kind of what happened was, you know, I was sitting down in with my skis on the hill, and I did like a pistol squat getting up off the ground, on my right leg, which is the uphill ski.
Yeah.
And then I felt a twinge in my knee, and originally I thought it was my quad. And then I competed on it the next weekend after cutting and all that, which I think puts you further injury, like further risk of injury.
Yeah.
And then I, tried to squat like 267.5, and it did not go very well. I've missed it too. And I remember just hurting a lot. And then that's probably why I didn't get it. It was feeling heavy that day too. Cutting sucks, but
sad.
I don't think it helped. And then, it's been bugging me since. Originally was treating it like a quad issue and then a quad tendinopathy. And then now it's not really seeming like either of those things. And throughout the summer, I just I chatted with my coach. I'm like, one of the last things I'll ever do with a lifter is fully remove a realm of lifting, right? So for example, the barbell back squat bothers me and it hurts my knee. So I tried everything under the sun. I did tempo, I did, SSB, I did front squats.
Yeah.
I tried everything else while also trying to train the quad if it was a quad issue, and it just didn't really go away. And then finally I was like, okay, what if we just stop, just
squatting,
ramming our head into a wall?
Yeah.
And I was like, let's just cut squatting out for the summer. Summer was really busy anyway. I had like 4 weddings or whatever to go to, and lake trips and travel and, plans. Summers are just busy enough anyway. So we removed it. And honestly, I was enjoying the training. I was getting stronger. I was doing a lot of single-legged squatting. So I didn't remove squatting entirely. It just kind of regressed to lower load variations. I was doing like the Taylor Shige special of single-legged or split stance hack squats, which is a humbling experience. Yeah.
Did you find the single leg stuff aggravate your knee?
It depended on the day a little bit. Less so than like heavy barbell back squats though.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been on the journey. I actually just had an ultrasound today on my knee, which because it hasn't really been responding. So I was just kind of curious to see if you can pick up on anything. In terms of diagnostics, I don't think I'd take it any further, but I don't know. I've kind of come to the conclusion, talking to other physios and that kind of thing too, that it's likely maybe more of a meniscal ligament type injury because of how long it's taking to heal. Any kind of meniscus injury can take quite a long time.
Wow.
Because they just have shitty blood flow.
Yeah.
And, it's hard to tell though at the same time, like, is my knee just sensitive, or like, did I actually injure it and now it's just continuing to be injured and it's just not 100%? So I've now come back to barbell back squatting, and I'm taking the fuck it approach where I'm just going to keep progressively reloading my squat. I'm up to 290 for triples, or four or triples, something like that. Or one, not 290, 190. Did I say 290?
You said 290.
Yeah, it's insane. I cannot squat that.
No?
Not yet.
Okay.
I can't triple 290. My God. But I can, I've been doing triples at 190, just building my way back
You're
up.
talking kilos or pounds?
Kilos.
Oh,
No, not pounds.
I thought you were talking, when you said 290, I was like, oh, pounds. Interesting.
No, yeah, no, I don't talk pounds most of the time.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm chipping my way.
That's a lot more respectable. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I'm it's not bad.
I was like, oof, 190 pounds.
Yeah, it's like, it's in the 400-pound range again, which feels good.
That's good. That's good.
And it hurt. Almost every rep was painful, but it didn't get worse.
Yeah.
So fuck it, right? I'm just gonna, at worst, I'm gonna determine that I am actually still hurt, and I need to figure out something else that's going on. At best, I realize my knee is just still sensitive and it just needed to be desensitized.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little bit of an experiment. And, honestly, I'll learn something from the whole thing, and it'll make me a better coach and physiotherapist. So, yeah.
That's all that matters.
That's been my training as of late. But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the process still. I think stuff like this, even though it kind of sucks and it's aggravating and frustrating, it is still interesting. It keeps things fresh. Problem solving nonstop. That's a lot of what coaching is. That's a lot of what my job as a physio is. Like, people aren't responding to the typical way to a certain thing. So you got to put your thinking cap on, figure out what the hell's going on.
I love that.
Which I think leads wonderfully, Danny, into today's topic of RPE, right? Because we use it all the time to auto-regulate around all kinds of issues, right? Now, folks, what we mean by auto-regulation is that we allow a certain metric to determine the level of stress we're going to impose on our bodies on a given day. I don't know how you feel about that definition, Danny.
It's a lot more nerdy than I would have called it.
How would you describe auto-regulation?
Auto-regulation is you taking advantage of when you feel good, so you maybe dial it up, or when you feel like shit, you dial it back. That's
auto-regulate, baby.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
Fair enough. Let's start though, Danny. We're going to go into a little bit of the history here. We're going to keep this part brief because I want to focus more so on the practicality of it. But yeah, so the rate of perceived exertion scale, or RPE scale, originally started, honestly, don't know his first name, but with the Borg scale of 6 to 20. Okay,
Dr. Borg.
Maybe Dr. Borg.
Sounds like a
Dr.
Spider-Man
Cyborg.
villain.
Yeah. It's kind of odd because 6 to 20 is like, who would choose that as a scale?
I'm pretty sure it's 6 to 20 because like you take the value of your whatever you called it, and there's a formula that you plug into something.
It's just your heart rate, and you multiply it by 10.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Well,
there you go.
most of the people they were doing, I believe they're doing like that work with, or the research with, were like kind of, middle-aged adults for the most part.
Sure.
And typically your heart rate will vary between 60 to 200, depending on the activity you're doing.
Oh,
For most, like your heart rate max is going to be around that 200 mark, right?
there we go.
So yeah, and they're using it for all kinds of research, but it correlated quite closely to your actual heart rate. So if you were like if you were doing an activity and you're like, if they were trying to get an assessment of how you were feeling at that time, they would ask you 6 to 20, and then you would mark whatever 8, or 8, or
That's between 6 and 20.
8, and then they could test your heart rate, look at it like at the same time with the heart rate measuring tool, and it'd be around 80 beats per minute, right? Obviously, it's not perfect, but they actually found it correlated quite closely.
No way.
And then eventually that morphed into the modified Borg scale of what most people know nowadays as the 1 to 10 scale, right? Similar correlation to heart rate, but more like a heart rate range at each level. I'm not going to go through them all because we're not really talking about like cardiovascular fitness or cardio training today. Maybe for a future episode, we can dive into stuff like that. But
that shit's for nerds.
Moving
on to lifting, bro.
Cardio helps you live longer. If you live longer, you can make more gains.
Nah, bro, it doesn't matter.
It's like you're sitting there between sets of 5, just absolutely hauling air. Just like, I guess I'll do it again. Yeah. You can't even breathe. It's like, I can't think of what possibly could solve that problem for you. Anyway, I digress. Your VO2 max is like 15. Anyway.
Oh. Hitting that walking up the stairs, bro.
Yeah. Anyway, we got the modified Borg scale. Eventually, a fella, a thought leader of sorts in the powerlifting space, one of the GOATs, Mike DeShearer.
A philosopher himself.
Mike DeShearer began using this rate of perceived exertion scale, the 1 to 10 scale, RPE, and kind of comparing it to the reps in reserve scale. So, RPE 10 would be no reps left in the tank. RPE 9 would be 1 rep left in the tank, and so on and so forth. RPE 8, 2 reps. And, they began using that to auto-regulate their training. This is actually a cool instance of where something came up in the practical gym world before it was validated later in research, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think there's an episode way back on Iron Culture where Eric Helms talked about it, because I believe Eric Helms did his master's validating the RIR to RPE comparison in training, right?
No way.
I think that either that or part of his PhD. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but yeah, y'all can look that one up. Dr. Eric Helms. He's also the author of the books we've talked about many times, the Muscle and Strength Pyramids, the ones that really turned a page in our programming philosophy and way we view programming, I would say. You put me onto that one, and I remember reading it on a little PDF.
That was a cornerstone
turning
point moment.
TSN turning point. Yeah, it's a really good book. But so then we're left with this thing where, reps in reserve and RPE, we kind of use them, synonymously. At least we do in this podcast. We talk about it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But we kind of wanted to do this episode because some people might not actually know what we're talking about. And I know our audience does include a bit of a pack or a cohort of sorts of just general lifters.
Oh, yeah.
But also power lifters.
Yeah.
And just strength enthusiasts in general. So we're gonna dive into kind of the practicalities of RPE and kind of how we use it in our programming and maybe its pros and cons, and we'll kind of go from there. Danny, why don't you kick us off here and talk a little bit about how you like to use RPE when you're programming for athletes or personally and that kind of thing?
Holy smokes, that's a lot to unfold there. Well, first it depends on if the athlete either prefers like percentage based work or purely RPE work.
Yep.
And then like, there's a lot of times, I know early on when I started, I actually preferred, and I mean, today, I also prefer percentage based stuff.
What percentage of what?
Percentage of 1RM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or E1RM.
Or E1RM.
Yeah.
Because what it did was it would just give me a load and I would just have to, I see the load. I just have to lift it. I don't got to think about it too much.
Yeah.
I just got to do it. Whereas if I give somebody an RPE, say, work up to a top triple or a set of 3 at 8 RPE, that's up to you or the lifter to figure that out. And a lot of times early on, the lifter has a hard time dropping the ego and they tend to overshoot. And a lot of lifters get married to numbers and they want to hit that number no matter what. So,
or they're scared to push it altogether.
It's very true. Yeah, there's two ends of that spectrum where they like to overshoot or they're chronic undershooters all the time. It's just a matter of you, like as a coach, learning the athlete and what they prefer first, but then what they thrive on after.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what are some drawbacks to using a percentage of 1 rep max or estimated 1 rep max in training, like compared to using RPE?
Like just a hard percentage?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we talked about like auto regulation at the start here, and if you use a hard 1RM and you run through a training block, say 8 weeks long, odds are you've made some progress, at the end of that training block. So if you hit 80% for whatever, it might not actually be a truly 80%, if that makes sense, because you've made progress.
Yeah.
That 1RM is probably higher than it was at the start. So you could be, technically undershooting everything. Yeah. So that's where auto-regulation comes in. So you take advantage of when you start to feel good, you up it, you increase the weight, or you increase the reps or whatever you're pushing that session. So that's the one drawback.
Yeah, and then it goes the other way as well, where
if you set it too high, you're always overshooting and fatigue is
just
a lot.
Climbs.
Yeah, it climbs and you bury yourself.
Yeah. Or if you kind of have a shit week or a bad session, maybe a lot of stress, maybe you're cutting and moving houses and that kind of stuff, right?
Good point.
That fatigue can impact your training on that day. And whereas like let's say like a triple at 80% might have a certain RPE on one day, it might be easier. Yeah. But with all the extra stress, now it feels heavier.
Yes.
So you could, and maybe that stress lasts longer than like a week. Maybe you have like issues at work. Maybe you hate your job. Maybe there's some stuff going on in your life that just is more long lasting than that. Yeah. So if you just chronically overshoot for the extent of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, you're going to wind up burying yourself in a lot of fatigue. Maybe just wind up overtraining. And then it's sometimes kind of hard to walk back out of that hole, that fatigue pit you've dug yourself. So
correct.
Yeah. So that's also
that was spoken a lot more eloquently than I put it.
It's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
It's good.
That's why we do this together. Apes together, strong. And but then when it comes to actual using RPE, though, I often find that the pros will still often outweigh the cons in that a beginner may not be great at rating their RPE because they don't know what a 10 is, right? And you can take all these RPE values or reps and reserve values and kind of correlate them to certain percentages. Mike Teixeira also came up with that concept as well, I do believe, where, a single at RPE 10 is 100% of your maximum, right? Mm-hmm. And then like a single at RPE 9 is like 96, 97% of your maximum, right? And then so on and so forth. There's like a whole chart you can look up online where it kind of shows you these correlations at certain rep ranges to certain RPEs. Yeah. Obviously, the further away you get from RPE 10, it can be harder and harder to gauge, right?
Yeah.
So if you're doing, 20 reps and you're trying to go for like RPE 7, that's really difficult to determine. That's kind of more of a, what I call a vibe RPE, if you're doing, if you're doing stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
You're in the ballpark. It's hard, that kind of thing, but not super difficult, not maximal, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress there. But the a beginner, they're gonna make gains kind of regardless of what you decide to do with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna make linear progress, and as assuming that E1 or M target for them is gonna change quite rapidly anyway, right? Because they're gonna be getting stronger from essentially session to session.
Yep.
They can then keep chasing this mythical RPE that you have set for them, until they actually start to reach it, right? And where that it starts to level off, or maybe at the end of a block, you give them an AMRAP of some kind, and then that can show them what a true 10 is. Or maybe, you give them a percentage that they're going to hit about 5 reps and they get 8 or 9 reps. And you're going, well, clearly this has not been the RPE that you've been rating, right?
Yeah.
And then the lifter can then recalibrate. And then it's this ongoing process of assessment to comparing to what you're saying or what you're rating. And then it kind of goes back and forth over time. And you gradually just get closer and closer to actually hitting the mark. But all that being said, I still suck at it on occasion. I
call those AMRAP sets RPE audits.
Yes, it's like an RPE audit, exactly.
Because it catches you and you're like, oh shit, I just got like an extra 5 reps on what I was calling a 7 RPE. Well, clearly, it, like you said, it takes time. It's a skill to get practiced on.
Yeah, it takes refinement.
Refinement.
Yep. The one thing I wanted to mention too is kind of one of the most common ways that you and I use RPE is with top sets.
Yep.
And then we'll use a mixture of both RPE and back off percentages. So what that means, folks, for those that don't know, let's say, for example, I do a squat on a given session and I'm going to do a single at RPE 7 or something, or RPE 8, right? I'm going to go and ascend in weight until I hit that number. And then based on what I hit for that, the E1 or M will then be used to calculate a certain back off. So maybe I'm doing like triples at 80% of the E1 or M on that given day, which I really, really love that approach because, again, it allows you to push on the given day if it feels good.
Yeah.
And it also gives that athlete permission to pull back if it's not feeling all that good. There's less of the pressure of like, you have to hit this no matter what, right? And there's pros and cons that you're navigating some human psychological factors there as well. Because there's certain times when going for it is a necessary thing to do. And sometimes you do wind up surprising yourself, right? And that's where I find video feedback and coaching and maybe, intelligent training partners all to be quite useful. Because it's not just you and you, because I find your brain will often just lie to you. And then you watch the video back right after and you're like, oh, I'm not even close to what I thought that felt like. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, I'm going to put some more weight on kind of thing, right? Or it goes the other way too sometimes. The warm up, I'm like, ooh, that felt a lot harder and looked harder than I had originally thought this would be. Maybe it's because I'm running on 4 hours of sleep right now and I worked all day that I should pull back today, right? So that's kind of one of the main ways that you and I use RPE. Do you have anything to add onto that?
So you're saying you do top set and then E1 or M percentage work off the E1 or M?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I sometimes do top set and then just straight like percentage drop from whatever you hit.
Yep. So like knock off 5%.
Knock off 5%, 10%, 20%, whatever. That way, I don't know. I don't know if there's a drawback or a benefit to that one.
It's essentially the same thing, right? You know what I mean? Like you can find you could do back off RPEs. I've done that before too. It's like based on your top set, this is going to be roughly what you're going to hit. For your back off set. Because if the RPE is essentially a percentage, right? You can kind of use them interchangeably, right?
Oh yeah.
But I think it does change the meaning of it for the athlete, or at least the way that I coach it. You know what I mean? But I also don't expect an athlete to hit a top single and then right after try and be able to determine, so if that was a top single at 7, that means 3 at 80% or a triple at 80% would be this exact number. Like I don't expect athletes to necessarily know that off the top of their head.
Absolutely not. Yeah, because there's you're already fatigued from your top set.
Yeah, so it's different
already, and there's already going to be variability with the reps, and then you don't really have an RPE target. You just have 80%.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of variability there. I wouldn't expect anyone to do that either.
No, it can be, that's more of a challenge, right? When to try and figure that out in the session, right?
I wouldn't even do that.
No. So I don't use it very often. If anything, like if I program RPE backoffs kind of thing, I'm giving the lifter permission to drop the load from what like my spreadsheet, for example, is suggesting, right?
Yeah.
But the spreadsheet is just comparing your E1RM to a table and then multiplying the E1RM by the appropriate percentage.
Yeah.
Which, like, if the athlete doesn't, like, tries one set and goes, holy shit, that was heavier than an RPE 7, I am going to back that off for the second or third back off set.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'll use it. It can be handy with like injuries and things like that, or when things are kind of nagging on people. I've used it that way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it honestly doesn't really matter, because then I could also just give a percentage that I think will be conservative and help the athlete along toward whatever goal that may be, right?
Yep.
One thing I wanted to bring up too is, like, you don't necessarily need to add more load each week to get stronger, which we've talked about a lot on the podcast, right? Like, eventually that's going to plateau out, right?
Yeah, like we talked early, like in the early episodes, the principles. The number one is progressive overload. Number one, or is that number two? The specificity number one.
Yeah, well, no, we talked about the programming principles, I think, but yeah, specificity, progressive overload, those are some of the principles.
Like no matter what, there has to be more weight on the bar, or more reps, or more higher intensity, some form of progression to stimulate growth, or stimulate, whatever.
Yeah.
But
that's not necessarily each week, right?
No, that's right.
That's like over months and years.
Correct.
Is typically the time scale that we're actually talking about. And I find, like, the biggest thing I got to remind athletes about is, hey, I know, like, this went like okay this week, but you added more load, the following week, and it didn't go very well.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like, if your warm-ups are telling you that it's a bad idea, you should trust that, and retake it or lower it, because the thing that makes you stronger is the exposure to a difficult stimulus. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that will vary based upon a ton of external factors as well.
Yeah. And if you expose yourself to the same stimulus over a couple weeks, the theory is you should, like the effort should drop, correct? Yep. With the same load.
Yep.
And I find I have a hard time. Well, I don't have a hard time, but some of my athletes have a hard time repeating things.
Yeah.
And they think, well, how come we're not going up? It moved good.
Yeah.
I'm like you said, it didn't move that great.
Yeah.
It was still over the RPE target I wanted. So let's do it one more time, see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting you brought that up.
Yeah. That brings up another good question too, is why don't we just train at RPE 10 all the time?
All the time?
Yeah. It's
some
funny.
people do.
I mean, some people do, right? Like, you can. I've personally found that there's a greater cost, most of the people that on my client roster are not like full-time gym goers, They have lives, they have family, they have jobs that all impose their own individual stressors on the system that is the person, right? Mm-hmm. And that all detracts from their ability to recover, right? And I do think there is a higher fatigue cost to performing a rep or sets closer to failure, right? Depending on the movement, that being said. Mm-hmm. For my accessory movements, like, leg extensions, bicep curls, even rows, I will often take them to muscular failure, just because I don't want to try and estimate how far I am from failure. Maybe I'll cut like one off short and stay at RPE 9. But, like, if you're always slamming RPE 10 squats and that kind of thing, I have seen that go quite poorly more times than, I want, whether it was my programming or the athlete's choosing. That, I'm going to max out. Yeah, max out again. Yeah, max out again. Yeah, man, I'm not going to lie. My knee kind of hurts this week. I don't know what's going on. And it's like, well, not that stress is going to always result in a type of injury, but it sure can. And, if you stack all these dominoes in favor of you getting hurt, you're just going to increase the odds, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, like, if you're well rested and you're recovering well and you can tolerate it, by all means. You can make the same argument for high volume training as well, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you're doing tons of sets and reps and that kind of thing, and the person can recover, then it's not a big deal. But it's all about, I always envision, we got this audio mixer here in front of us, but like turning the dials or adjusting the faders in front of you. Like that's how I picture programming all the time.
I love that.
It's
That's
like,
good.
are we going to turn down a little bit of the signal here and maybe push it up in this aspect? And it's all a balance, and the resulting, sound on the other end, you can make it sound really good or really shitty depending on what you're doing, right? And that signal you get is how you make programming decisions is kind of the way I picture it.
That's good.
But as long as you have sufficient stimulus over time, that is how you get stronger. All that to circle back to say. Because like, if you don't have any stimulus, you just won't get stronger. When astronauts go to outer space, they lose muscle because they have less stimulus. It's a pretty simple concept.
Yeah.
Right? Anything to add there, Daniel?
That was great.
The analogy I love to use is, I learned it from Mike Deshear, or one of the RTS reactive training system coaches, was the garden analogy, which I brought up on here.
That was Mr. Michael.
Yes, Mr. Michael. I love it so much because it makes a lot of sense, because you're kind of talking about biology in both examples, but as long as you have the right, factors in place, for the soil, moisture, sunlight, the right amount of moisture, not just, flooding the garden 24/7, right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Sufficient nutrients, all those kinds of things. The things will just grow. They will. And it doesn't happen the next day, overnight, sometimes even the next week. Sometimes it takes weeks to months to even realize those adaptations, right? And I love that analogy so much for when I'm trying to describe to people why you do not need to add load to the bar every single week. It's great when it's there. You know what feels really great though? Take 200 kilos at RPE 7 and make it 200 kilos at RPE 6. You know what I mean? It's like I have clearly adapted and gotten stronger.
Yep.
Oh
yeah.
So it's like you can just own the weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you can just you don't have to increase the load, right? But yeah, anyway, that's my little
That's good.
rant on that.
What do you do when you get an athlete that sees that as an undershoot and wants to go up and meet the RPE? Because I always tell my athletes 200 at 7 RPE is the target, or triple at 7 RPE. And I say, if you match it, good.
Yep.
If you're under it, good.
Yep.
If you're over it, not good.
Yeah, less good.
Less good, right?
Yep.
It's not bad. It could be worse.
Yep.
But it's not as ideal, right?
Yep.
But if you're under it, good. Call it there. We'll increase the weight next week for the new target, and we'll progress that way. But I find some athletes are so married to numbers, or just are so concerned about if I don't hit it, this week was a waste.
Yeah.
So they have to increase the weight.
Yeah.
Do you struggle with that with some of your athletes?
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting question, because it does depend on the person a little bit too. Because I often do find that if someone undershoots, depending on where you are in your training cycle, for example, like if you're getting close to a competition, I 100% want you to increase and go hit that RPE.
Correct. Yes.
That provides super valuable feedback to me, to see where we're going to be on meet day. It also provides an excellent time for the lifter to practice with a single heavy movement, right?
Yeah.
And your exposures to those are so limited during a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 week, peaking cycle that, you don't have a lot of time to practice those things. So, and oftentimes we don't train that heavy all the time, because I think it does take a toll, and, it can kind of wear on the body, both physically and psychologically.
Yeah.
Because it's stressful, you're by yourself in a gym late on a Monday night, and you're about to take a single at RPE 9. It's like, or whatever it might be, right? There's some stress involved there.
Oh yeah.
Mentally it can be quite taxing. So yeah, I'll often, in that circumstance, encourage lifters to go get it. If you're a chronic undershooter, I often will tell the person, if you miss the RPE, go up and go get it. Okay, right? I'll often use my warm-ups as a way to gauge where it's going to be. But let's say, for example, I have a triple at 7, okay? So I'm going to warm up, and I kind of have a rough estimate in mind where that might be on that day. And I'll do, I'll take say I'm squatting. I'll do 70 kilo, or the bar, 70 kilos for maybe a set of 8. And then I'll do pick something for 5, then I'll do 4, And then I'll do a few sets of triples and kind of chip my way up on each one.
Yeah.
And each subsequent triple gives me a better and better idea of where my body's going to perform at that day, right? Now, let's say I'm going for a triple at 7, for example, right, for the top set, and I miss it, right? And it's under, but I'm still kind of warming up. I haven't actually went for it yet. And I'm like, oh, I think that was still a triple at 6. I'm going to add about 3% to get me one more RPE value, one more RPE increment, and just tick the box upward. Or maybe if I'm down by 0.5, I'll just chip it up by like 1.5%, which will be like whatever you add on the little plates on the side and you go for it, you know? And then I'll see what happens. And sometimes it was just my perception. I undershoot again on the top set. And in that circumstance, I might just call it and be like, I was really close. Maybe I was 0.5 or 1 under. Yeah. All good. I'll go up next week. I'll keep in the tank for later. But if I undershoot a 7 and wind up at a 6, that's not wasted training, right?
Oh, for sure.
If anything, it's kind of encouraging because I'm like, oh, I'm stronger than I thought I was, which is phenomenal. That's a good problem to have.
Like that's how I see it. But like I said, some athletes just see that as like a loss.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I didn't meet expectation. I didn't meet the training program. Yeah.
And then some people will just overshoot it.
Yeah.
And like I'll be like, oh, I undershot again. I'm going to go up again. And then they just blow it out of the water. And then your 7 becomes a 10. And you're like,
oh, fuck.
Yeah. It's like, brother, you put like 10% on the bar. That's a lot of percent. That's,
Brother was ambitious.
Yeah. That was an ambitious jump. I've definitely said that in a check-in before.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask like, what were your warm-ups leading into that? What did that look like? Right. Yeah. And honestly though, like when it comes to gauging a top set RPE, I really do like lifters performing more than one set of that prescribed rep number.
Yeah.
Because in a competition, when you're warming up, we often do wind up doing multiple singles until you get to your last warm up and then you go out and do your opener, right?
So you're saying do like 3 by 1 at 7 for your top set or multiple sets for your warm ups?
Well, kind of during the warm up. So like you'll do a triple, a triple, or a double, or 5s, whatever it might be.
I got you. You match the top set reps. I understand.
Because like if you're gonna go for a triple and then you just warm up and you do like a 3-2-1, if you overshot your single, you have to come back down and wait, right? But the single is not going to be a very great measure of that day of where your triple is going to be. I have found. I think people really struggle with that. Sure, you can do the math on the percentages and the customized RPE tables if you want to. You could. I've done it that way before, but I think it's really hard to gauge. So you make it similar to how you would warm up to singles, where you do like a single, till you get to your whatever, how many singles it's going to be till you hit your top set.
Yeah.
And you just do a few sets of 3 in your warm up till you get there, right? Or I do a few extra warm ups of 5. And I always tell people like, if that detracts significantly from your performance on that day, you're probably out of shape and we probably need to work on some cardio. Because if 3 sets or two warm-up sets of sub-maximal 5s puts you under, brother, you have a problem.
Buddy, we're going to be using that 6 to 20 Borg scale.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that 6 to 20 Borg scale. Because you're sitting there, your heart rate's at like 190 between sets or whatever. Good luck recovering for the next one, So
Christ. Yeah, that's good.
Does that make sense though?
I like that.
Yeah, I like getting people to do that. But anything you wanted to add on that aspect there?
No, that was good.
That is a good question though about do you proceed to go get it or do you back off? But I think it depends on the person and the goal of the phase that you're in their training. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like right now, like one of my clients, Jake, he competed recently. We're doing like high volume stuff. It's like sets of 10.
I saw him do like 210 for a set of 10 for squats.
Oh yeah, dude's a workhorse right now.
And then was it 145 for a set of 10 for bench?
Yeah. Just capacity out the wazoo right now. And,
I know.
And he didn't start there. We had to build that back up again.
Of course.
Because you lose it when you compete because you don't do nearly as much volume.
Correct. Yeah.
But like, for example, like for Jake, if he undershoots by like 1 RPE and he had done 10 reps, it's sometimes just kind of hard to estimate where that's going to be by the time you get to 10 reps.
Well, no, and that's the other thing, if your target is 10 at 8 RPE and you hit your 10 reps at 7 RPE, it was an undershoot.
Yeah.
If you go up and weight again
and do another 10,
that's going to be like a 9.5, man.
Yeah.
Because you're so gassed. Like, I know it's hard to do it that way when it's such high volume.
Yes. Yeah. But again, the thing is too, is like when the intensity comes down for a high volume phase and the volume gets pushed up, right? Because you're kind of finding that balance. The objective weight is lower, but you have more volume. As long as you have sufficient exposure to the two, you're gonna get growth. It's gonna happen. It has to physiologically, right? Assuming, of course, that you're getting sufficient recovery, sleep, you're getting the proper nutrients and all that. Your macros are on point. I'm assuming you're not running like a 1,500 calorie deficit or whatever it is. Like, you know, you need to make sure those things are all locked and loaded. Yeah. But like I said, as long as you have the right ingredients in place, you will just get stronger. It just sometimes takes a little bit of time to realize it, or fatigue masks your ability to perform on the day, and you can't quite see that you're stronger yet.
Right.
But the keyword's yet, because you're just not there.
Yeah. I just picture you fucking dropping the treble and increasing the bass.
That's what it is, man. It's
dials.
like you're DJing, bro. You know. It's such a great visualization for what programming is.
I can just see you doing this, sitting in front of your computer. Oh, this is gonna be a fucking banger.
Yeah. Wait till they hear this drop.
Yeah.
So top sets with back offs, that's a great way to use it. All in all, that's one approach. I find I often prescribe straight sets and reps for a lot of my accessory movements, and I'll give them like an RPE target. And then I'll kind of let them decide what they want to do with that. I often refer to RPE in the realm of reps in reserve, but sometimes, you know, if a lifter's not feeling very good, it won't be as objective as reps in reserve. Maybe they'll use the accessory work and go to more of like a vibe check, RPE 9 or 10 or whatever it is, right? Like I can do more, like physically, but should I do more?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when you're operating under the pretense of pain and injury, right? It's no longer I can do more, but it's more should I do more, right? And there's a lot of stuff to consider in those types of situations as well. I know is it barbellrehab.com? They proposed like an injury RPE scale, or a modified RPE scale or something like that.
Is it rehab or barbell medicine?
I think maybe it was barbell rehab or maybe barbell medicine.
I can picture it. I don't know.
I think I sent you the article or whatever, where it was like, you know, it's no longer at RPE 8, I can do 2 more reps.
Yeah.
But if you hit like the RPE 8 while injured, it's like, should I do 2 more reps?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's more of a subjective thing.
Yeah.
But honestly, when you're dealing with pain and injury, it winds up getting pretty subjective anyway.
Yeah,
right. So
for sure.
Yeah. Any other practical applications for RPE that you like to use? Like there's top sets with back offs.
There's the
straight sets,
ramp up sets, like sets of 5, 5 at 6, 5 at 7, 5 at 8.
I do like those.
I've seen when I was working with Kurt, with Cornerstone Barbell, I think I was doing those wrong, or maybe he just did them differently.
Danny's just a shit athlete.
Because okay, so walk me through how you do that. Like, so you get a prescription of 5 at 6, 5 at 7, 5 at 8. Do you increase the weight every set? You do?
Yeah, typically I will, because I don't think enough fatigue is set in yet. And I actually do ramp ups with Jake all the time.
Yeah.
That's kind of our go-to approach for peaking, actually.
Yeah.
And we'll use that to kind of ramp up, like, I don't know, single at 6, single at 7, single at 8, right?
Yep.
So he will increase each time. It's almost like a way of glorifying the warm-up a little bit too. So I've used it that way with lifters who struggle to gauge their top set. I will force them to write down what they did to approach the heaviest set. And then I might do a back off based upon the last ramp up. You know what I mean?
Yep, I gotcha.
So the single at RPE 8 will give you an estimated 1 rep max. And then I'll use that at 1 rep max and maybe do like a set at 75% for like a triple or something, depending on what the goal is or whatever rep range I want.
Yeah.
But I will increase the weight to approach a ramp up set, because the idea is you're ramping up in load. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you do like a triple at 7 and you're ramping up with triples, if you just retake that same load, I doubt it would increase all that much.
So that was where we differed, is he wanted me to repeat.
Oh.
So essentially what he was wanting is the first set, or your top set, was your triple at your first one, your 5 at 7, whatever it is. And then you repeat that, and the thought was you accrue enough fatigue that enough fatigue happens to increase the RPE.
Yeah.
I didn't do it that way ever.
Yeah.
Because I was like you. I was like, it's not gonna be the same.
Plus, like, if you're in good enough physical condition,
yeah,
I highly doubt by the time you hit the next set at the same weight,
yeah,
your RPE value is going to change.
Now, I think maybe though, if it's a high enough set or like reps,
yeah,
and it's a high enough intensity,
that would make sense.
So like I don't know, 8 at 7, 8 at 8, 8 at 9.
Yeah, like 8 reps.
I could see 8 reps that happening, but I think we were doing like doubles or triples or something, and not enough to do it that way. So
maybe you should try it.
I know.
Do 8 reps to 7, 8 at 9, 8 at whatever, 8 at 8, 8 at 9.
That's fucked, probably. Buddy, I'll be rating that 8 at like 12 because it's on the Borg scale.
Yeah.
I'll be fucking sucking wind, man.
Just
do you ever prescribe load ranges?
Yeah, I sometimes will, like in my spreadsheet, like you've seen, I got a little thing I can toggle on and off.
Fuck, I love that.
To provide a load range, and then there's I'm gonna get kind of nerdy here, but there's another cell you can enter in a percentage. You know what I mean?
Do it.
And then that percentage will determine kind of how much up and down from a kind of middleweight it'll show.
Yes.
So, and then you throw a little concatenate in there for my Excel or spreadsheet nerds. And then it shows you the range that you can hit. So yeah, I do give ranges for some people. In general, I always tell people that the RPE value
is more important.
Like RPE is king. But like the value that my spreadsheet shows you is based upon last week's E1RM, right?
Okay.
So it's a range. That value is a range. There's a little bit below and a little bit above, right? So sometimes talking about this whole approaching your top set appropriately thing for those that struggle with that is like, if I give you a range and it's showing like 5% below 200 kilos, for example, and 5% above 200 kilos, perhaps your first triple is 5% below 200.
Yeah.
It goes really well, way under. So you go to 200, you do another triple. If that's still under, and maybe we're thinking like we're trying to push the envelope a little bit, or maybe it's the end of a training cycle and you know you're going to deload soon or something, or do like a pivot week, then maybe you push for that 205% or whatever, or 105% of your E1RM from last week.
I gotcha.
And so that's often what I'll use for ranges. But in general, I do interpret the RPE thing as a bit of a range, right? It's not, even though it is correlated with a percentage or like a repetitions in reserve value, it doesn't always behave that way based on external factors, right? To all that to get there. What about you?
So I like to prescribe ranges for most of my athletes. There's some athletes that
always hit the top end?
Always hit the top end no matter what. And I will look at the RP and I'm like, holy fuck, that's like way overshot, brother.
Yeah.
But there's a little trick that I can kind of do with my spreadsheet is like it's similar to yours where it starts with a hard number, and then you can feather it. You can go like the top end would be like plus 2%.
Yep.
And then the bottom end you can fine tune that. So what I normally do is I'll set the top end to 0%.
Yep.
And the bottom end to like 3%.
Yep.
So the top end that you see is actually what I want you to hit.
Yep.
So psychologically, people see the top end, they're like, oh, I got to hit that. Well, that's what I want you to hit.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
I got you. Yeah.
Sometimes you do have to kind of get creative like that to like psychologically almost manipulate a little bit, right? Like for my chronic undershooters.
I just told all my athletes my secret.
Your secrets. Now they're just going to go chronically overshoot. Coach is wrong. The spreadsheet's lying to me.
Yeah.
But now, it's like when I have athletes that chronically undershoot, I will often just give them an RPE value 1 to 1.5 values higher than I want them to hit.
Oh, yeah.
So say, for example, I want them to hit like a single at 7.
Yeah.
I will put a single at 8.5, right? And if they happen to push themselves to an 8.5, God, I'll be happy.
God, I think I know who Teresa.
Well, Teresa's one of them.
She was telling me about it.
She knows. Yeah. She knows. She's one of them I'm doing that with right now.
Yeah.
I've done this with other people in the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, the chronic undershooter, that's a real thing, Yeah. It's like there's a psychological battle that goes on in the gym.
That's so funny.
Yeah, anything to add?
So we went over top set back offs, and then that like percentage E1RM, hard percentage drops, ramp up sets. Do you ever prescribe 2 RPE? So say you give 3 sets at 200 kilos, 2 RPE. So
Like, yeah,
there's no rep range.
You will stop when you hit the RPE.
You'll stop when you hit the RPE cap.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. I've done, say, for example, I want to do an AMRAP, but I don't want the athlete just to absolutely die.
Yeah.
I will, like, the difference between stopping at 9 and 10, the fatigue difference is
Negligible, I find. You
Well,
think
I think it's pretty big.
think so?
I think it's pretty big. Yeah, if it's going to be happening frequently, you know what I mean, depending on what you do.
Frequently, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Frequently, yes.
Because some people do, well, like every few weeks, like AMRAP, you know, like if, you know, some people, they'll program that way. So I will keep them short of if I'm using that with an athlete.
Yes.
I don't often do, but if that's something we're doing because they like it and it's working, and I happen to find my way to that, stumble my way through the darkness to that position where it's like, oh, wow, we're getting a lot of progress by doing this.
Yeah.
I'll keep them a little shy. So I'll be like,
I gotcha. Okay.
AMRAP until RPE 9.
Yeah.
Right. Or until RPE 8. And like, you
something.
know, just keep going until you hit that. Right.
Yeah.
Or until you think you hit that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when, you know, what if I say like a true AMRAP, I'll say like AMRAP at 10, and I want you to hit 10, maybe even like momentary failure. You know what I mean? Like go as far as like the spotters had to help me. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. Or I had to put it down on the safeties, controlled and safely, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what about you?
Well, AMRAPs, I don't think there's a difference between 9 and 10, but I was talking about like, say I would just do an AMRAP at the end of the block. I wouldn't do it every week or every 2 weeks.
Yep.
There's no difference if you just do it at the end as like an assessment or an RPE audit or whatever.
Yep.
And if you hit 9, great. If you hit 10, great. If you fail, I always say like, don't ever go for something you'll miss.
Yes. Yeah.
Like if you're standing up there and you're all like, you know, your reps are, there's a cadence to it. And all of a sudden on your last one, you're standing there for like an extra fucking 5 seconds and you're hesitating,
like, I don't know.
hesitating. Don't go for it. I'm yelling at people, rack it. Don't do it.
Yep. Yeah.
But I do like, and I've programmed this with a lot of my athletes is, we'll do a top set. So for example, do a top set at 5 at 8 RPE. And then the back offs will be the same weight, but it'll be a rep range, lots of sets. So I think it's like 5 or 6 sets, most people, 3 to 5 reps. So the rep range drops, but the load stays the same. And I just got a lot of good feedback from that. People like that.
Yeah.
So your auto regulate, the weight stays the same. So like I think psychologically people are more inclined to keeping the weight the same versus dropping it.
Yep.
And they can feather the reps and auto regulate that way.
Yeah.
So they could repeat set of 5, set of 4, set of 4, set of 3, set of 3.
Yep.
And
you just auto regulate the volume side of things more.
That's right.
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're using the volume dial when you're mixing
That's right.
in the signal. Yeah.
And the RPE, I think I have it dropped to I don't know, I keep it at 8 RPE.
Yep.
Yeah. It's good that way.
Taylor, when I first started with Taylor, he programmed some stuff that would cap at a certain number of sets, depending on what RPE you hit on the back off sets.
Oh, yeah. So you stop your sets at like 9 RPE.
Yeah. So same thing. Instead of the rep dial, or the rep fader, you're using more so that sets as a way to auto regulate your volume. But again, it all ties back to the RPE, all anchored in RPE.
That's right.
Without it, you're lost.
Yeah.
You're lost in the woods.
I agree, bro. Yeah.
So I don't know. That's where I find it's such a handy tool. And like, even as a gym bro or an average lifter, like you don't, like, according to all the research, you don't have to train all the way to failure to get significant gains, whether it be hypertrophy or strength or both that you're looking to get.
Yeah.
And I always think too, like, if the goal is to maintain a sufficient stimulus for an extended period of time for a, quote unquote, sufficient amount of time, right? If you always have to deload because you're so fucked up from fatigue, does that not just detract from the amount of stimulus you're getting, like, over time, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it puts you at a potentially greater risk for injury, right? Not that training super intensely, if you're prepared for it, inherently does that, but there's other life factors to consider as well. And if maybe you're in a deficit, maybe you're cutting, right?
Uh-huh.
Maybe training to failure while you're cutting is not a great combination, And then you're writing finals at the same time in university or high school or something. It's like, well, maybe in that circumstance, training all the way to failure is not the best option for you at that time.
Yeah.
Because if you can find any way to just remain uninjured, you'll just make more gains over time. And we all know this shit's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's slow. You know what I mean?
Classic.
It's in lifting, man, especially because we've talked on here a few times. Like the deadlift PR I hit, 2.5 kilo PR in January, despite my knee. That was 4 years in the making. That was 2021 to 2025.
Yep.
And that's just how it goes. The gains are few and far between, but if you maintain that stimulus, eventually it just shows up. You know what I mean? And whether it shows up on game day is an entirely different discussion, which we've already covered in great depth. So if you're curious about that stuff, go check our log of episodes there. But
yeah,
anything to add there, Dan?
No, man, I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that in terms of covering RPE in a short amount of time. But
yeah,
any other
people get the gist there?
Yeah. I think it's such a useful tool. If you had to give a single piece of advice to coaches, or like a new coach or a new lifter, when it comes to maybe implementing RPE in their training, is there anything that jumps out that you'd want them to know? Like, what would you want young Daniel Hines to know when he was first starting?
Oh my God. Well, when I started coaching you and the other guys, what book was it? The Muscle Strength Pyramids. That was the one that turned everything for me. Because before, I was just simply following classic hypertrophy, strength, peaking, and there'd be your hypertrophy would be 60 to 80%, and I would just progress programming that way, just
percentage increases each week.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
And strength was 85 to 95, and then peaking was 90 to 100 or something like that.
Yep.
And I would just feather the percentages in the training in the blocks that way. I didn't really understand RPE. I didn't know what any of that was, and then I read that book, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yep.
But I don't know. I think, what's my advice to somebody? Oh my God. I think you got to learn the athlete and how they handle things, and don't be afraid, because I still think percentage has its place in training.
Yeah.
And I think some coaches out there seem to just do solely RPE. Because I've worked with a few coaches that didn't prescribe any loads, didn't prescribe any percentage. It was just 5 at 8.
Yeah.
And I hated that.
Yeah.
And I know that if I don't like it, I know other people might not like it as well. So I think you got to learn how to use that RPE scale, that not the scale, the table.
Yep.
That you can, one at 9 is 95% or 5, that one.
Yep.
And let the athlete prescribe the reps, prescribe the RPE, but then let the athlete gauge it for themselves. Because the more you can give the athlete to practice, the better they'll get.
Yeah. And then the athlete can develop some autonomy.
Yes.
And self-efficacy, the belief in yourself to accomplish a task.
Yeah.
So because coaching wise, the athlete has to make all those training decisions by themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without you there. And then you retroactively talk about it, right? So between that feedback loop, the athlete needs to be equipped with a certain number of skills to determine what they can do on the day. And if it's undershoot, that's fine. If it's an overshoot, that happens. Both are great learning experiences, right? You know what I mean? But by no means on either end of the spectrum should you be scolding athletes for it. You know what I mean?
I think the newer the athlete that you're coaching, just understand that they're not going to be perfect.
Yep.
And they might be way off.
Yep.
And that's fine as long as you can keep putting weight on the bar and they keep moving it and everything's fine.
Yep.
As long as they're trying, I think that's good enough.
Yep.
And then as they get better and better and better at RPE tracking, I think if they're undershooting, that's better than overshooting all the time.
Yeah.
Right. But I think either or, a conversation needs to be had, and how you navigate that. Well, just listen to this episode. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
So.
The whole thing. Exactly. Just back it up. Yeah.
Back it up, baby. Yeah. What about you? What advice would you give to a new coach?
To a new coach or a new lifter? Because you kind of did the coach.
Both.
Aspect. Okay. Well, I mean, for a new lifter, like, I think it's okay to be wrong, right? Which I think I struggled with when I was first introduced to RPE.
Yeah. Get used to being wrong.
Yeah. Just I still fuck it up. You know what I mean? Like, Taylor's like, I don't know if that was the RPE that you said it was. And I'm like, it's sometimes over, sometimes under. Just happens. You know what I mean? Sometimes you put on something that you're like, yeah, this should be exactly what it is. And it just creeps up on you. Or it moved miraculously well. And you're like, well, I think I'll just leave it there. Right.
Yeah.
And you give them the video and that happens. Right. But I think, like, just be okay with being wrong on both ends of the spectrum. To the coach, there's lots of research now that shows that you can accurately, if you're trained and you've seen a lot of lifting and people failing and everything there and in between, you can actually accurately identify someone's RPE, like reps and reserve.
Develop a coach's eye.
Yeah, coach's eye to about, it was between like 0.5 to 1 RPE. Like it's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And there's been, actual research on this. I can't remember the name of the paper off the top of my head, but I remember reading that when they came out, and I was like, oh, that's
crazy.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Because I was always like, oh, the RPE is all internal, but it's not necessarily true. But other people around you can gauge it, right?
I always say, well, because everybody else is gauging it on speed.
Yes, it's all about speed.
Yeah, and then that's why whenever when somebody ever asks me, like, what was that? What was the RPE on that? What would you call that?
Yep.
And I always preface, well, based on the speed, it's whatever, right?
Yep.
I always mention that it's based off speed, because what I think speed-wise might be different than how you feel.
Yes.
And then how do you get like something useful out of it is you have to compare the two and look at the past data and all that. So,
yep.
Yeah.
And every athlete's like a certain RPE level will look different.
That's right.
A little bit. So you kind of have to learn those things as well. But like, you do judge that on meet day. Anyway, if you're doing meet day handling.
Yeah.
Like, if you're determining the next load to put on the bar, it's in part based upon how it moved. You know what I mean? Like, how fast was it? You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
We didn't even talk about velocity-based training, which kind of ties into this whole topic, but
that's a whole different animal.
That's a whole different animal. So maybe we would do a future episode on it. Yeah. It's a lot more in your wheelhouse, because I don't really use it a whole lot, because it takes some additional setup and things of that nature.
I will say, I'll give a quick
give a quick
velocity is I don't think it's ultra necessary. Is it fun to have and to look at? I think what velocity does is it validates your RP.
Yeah, that's kind of the main purpose of it.
And like, do I think it's necessary? No, because like, how many world champions are there that don't use it?
Oh yeah.
And like you said, RPE is king.
Yeah.
That is the one that matters most.
Yep.
It's just a useful tool to validate your RPE.
Yep.
And
when you're watching video back anyway, you're judging velocity just less objectively.
There is, though, it puts the objective in a subjective measure.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
Because the speed won't lie to you.
Yes.
But I could lie to myself about the RPE, right?
Yeah.
There was something, though, to be said, though, about gamifying your training.
Yeah, you're trying to get it to move faster.
Trying to move it faster and faster every time. Taylor Atwood's or Jason Tremblay with the strength guys, one of the factors that he talked about for Taylor Atwood's training when he hit 838.5 at
yeesh.
It was, what the fuck was it? It was US Nationals around 22 or 21 or something like that. That was the historic performance. Like, that was the best performance ever, drug tested, not drug tested, ever, right?
Yeah.
Based off of points. And one of the things that Jason attested that to was they started to gamify Atwood's training.
Yep.
And try to essentially you're trying to beat the clock.
Yes.
Where you got to be faster.
Yep.
And that psychological input into your training was what they
Yeah, that's super
did
cool.
it too. So I mean, that's very fun. Yeah.
Like theoretically, like a singlet RPE 8 will have a certain speed, right? And you
Yeah.
can kind of that's how you kind of validate it, right? Because the RPE 8 is going to be slower than RPE 7, and RPE 9 is going to be slower than RPE 8, right? And you can find averages for that, and that can be your RPE rating. Instead of an RPE, you just use velocity, right?
Yep.
And you can kind of judge that a little bit based on video feedback as well, and that's kind of why we like to use it to judge speed. But it's kind of interesting because if you try and go faster and faster and faster with the same load, you're kind of doing the same thing, right? Where you're taking that same load and you're trying to make that RPE go down, right? It's like the same concept, which is cool. It gamifies it a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
But like it like I used it quite a bit, and I would find like sometimes the RPE would feel heavy.
Yeah.
Like it would be high, but the speed would tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
I guess I'm going up.
It would be tough to navigate. So
yeah, it kind of factors in less of that internal sensation too.
Yeah.
Which I think still can be a bit valuable because like sometimes I'm like, I could for sure go up a little bit more and I'm sure I'd be fine. But like, why right now? Why would I choose to do that and potentially like, just add more fatigue on to my already fatigued body from whatever I had going on in life at the time? Or maybe like your shoulder is not feeling all that splendid that particular day. And you're like, but why would I go and do more right now? You know what I mean? Like that was sufficient for a stimulus. I felt good about it. I have it on video. That should be good till next week. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. There's lots of ways to go about it. Like I said, lots of ways to skin a cat in terms of programming.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why that's a
saying.
And saying, because who's doing that to cats?
You never skin a cat, bro?
Well,
I haven't. Everybody relax.
One cancelable thing per episode. That's our average. So that's good. That's good. Anything else to add there, Dan, man?
No, we did great. I think we did good.
I think that's a great place to wrap up. Folks, if you enjoyed this episode here today, please like, share, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Throw it up on your stories. The more ears we can get this podcast into, the better. We're just trying to help people share some anecdotal experience from a couple of meatheads who like this stuff. So
a couple of goons. You
can go and follow Aches, Pains, and Games on Instagram at achespainsandgames.podcast. You can also follow myself at ThomasJohnston_BCB on Instagram. Yep. You can find Danny at
Heinz_BCB on Instagram.
And you can also reach out to BridgeCityBarbellYXE.com for all your coaching needs, or even reach out on Instagram at BridgeCityBarbellYXE.
Hell yeah.
Anything else there, Dan?
That's it, man.
Sweet. All right, everyone. See you next time. Peace.